that they go through this season that starts basically in September. They have all their preseason practices, games. She does the tournament, gets the national championship game. And then like within a month, she's playing in real WNBA games. There's no real off season for her. But the thing I wanted to bring up was just...
NBA legend LeBron James has added his voice to the whirlwind report that Caitlin Clark is heading to Europe. The LA Lakers talisman sent a warning to the WNBA of what they will face if the Indiana Fever megastar is allowed to join a European basketball team. Come with us all the way to Los Angeles for all the details.
Is LeBron James, right? And here is what he told Esquire when he was asked about Caitlin Clark. He said, "I have a great deal of respect for her because I know exactly what it means to be drafted, to be the face of a franchise, and also get the scrutiny from a lot of people that don't believe you're ready for the next jump." And so me, watching Caitlin, seeing what she's doing, I've been in support of her since day one because I remember myself going through that, and she has my support 100%. She is a transcendent player.
LeBron James has always been a supporter of Caitlin Clark and what she has achieved in basketball. Unlike many fans of Caitlin, James has been a fan of Clark since her days in NCAA and continues to support her in the WNBA.
So my own teammates that I had to be on the floor with, practicing with, on the planes with, in the locker room, in game situations was kind of, just had this kind of, like you said, you don't say hate, but just like animosity, towards me and what I could provide. And I didn't even come in with that. I came in with the narrative, but I didn't come in with that type of aura. I just wanted to come in and learn from the vets and then put the work in. So I think for my advice to Caitlin, and my advice to anyone that comes in with this, this level of notoriety, out of this world expectation, whatever the case may be, I just think it's all about having, be a horse, man. The Kentucky Derby, put your blinders on, go to work, show up to work, punch your clock in.
Now, the number one NBA draft pick in 2003 wants the WNBA to recognize what Caitlin has brought to the league. He also points out that a lot of the good things that happened in the WNBA this season all have to do with Caitlin Clark, insisting she deserves her flowers. Do you agree with LeBron James that the WNBA's astronomical growth is down to Clark's remarkable rise and influence?
You can always just work for that and remind yourself of that, and that's certainly what I'm going to do going into the offseason.
Go Christine, then Scott.
Caitlin, in the kind of kaleidoscope of memories that we all have of events and years, maybe 20 years from now when you're done, or 25, whatever, what do you think might stand out, positives, even maybe moments like the 2 threes in LA early on, or for you personally, are there any that you might think of in terms of highlights, showed you belonged, a pass, anything that comes to mind now about this season and what you did in the season? Thanks.
Yeah, I think that's, there were so many moments, and every place we went was so unique, honestly. It's fun to kind of look back. People always ask me, where was your favorite road arena? And I'm like, they're all so different and unique in their own way. And obviously for me, my first year here is
Since the news of Caitlin Clark's possible exit from the WNBA began circulating, there has been widespread panic from fans, analysts, and basketball enthusiasts. It is like they have just lost the winning ticket to a lottery they won before they can claim their winnings, and only realizing it now. And you can't blame them. Caitlin Clark brought excitement and an unmatched highlight reel to women's basketball, and the thought that she is now taking her talent to Europe has many people scratching their heads and wondering how things got this bad.
I think it was a huge learning opportunity for myself. I learned a lot about myself as a basketball player, as a person, being resilient when your back's against the wall, but also really coming into our own and really thriving. And I think, once we figured it out, it was a lot of fun.
The last two in the room, then we got another one from Howard, Scott, then Matt.
Caitlin, I know you said you don't feel like a celebrity, but you lived in that spotlight really for the last year. What can you kind of describe what that feels like for you, since we can't experience that And then also, what do you kind of expect the next several months quietly to feel like as you'll be able to just live?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's like everybody's always watching your every move, no matter what you're doing. And I feel like the best thing that I've tried to live by is like to just be the same person that I am off the court, whether I'm, leaving my apartment every single day or whether I'm here sitting in front of all of you. I've tried to approach it.
But if you think about it, you could see the writing was on the wall even before Clark announced her departure. The incessant fouls and the obvious lack of protection are major catalysts for her decision. And there is only one entity to blame, WNBA, who failed to protect their biggest asset.
And they won't want the damn trouble, so maybe they won't bring you trouble. But I'm here for it. I'm here for it. And it's regarding the subject of Caitlin Clark. For those of you who don't know, she's a former star at Iowa in college, played in the national championship game before losing to South Carolina. She's number 1 overall pick for the WNBA draft. She is a special talent, to say the least, even though she's not having a special year because the Indiana Fever are stinking up the joint. They've got the second worst record in the league. Only the Washington Mystics are worse, who are 0-8. The Indiana Fever are 0-9, but that's not the story involving Caitlin Clark and all the drama that surrounds her on this particular day. As we get started to talk about this hot topic, that is Caitlin Clark, let's put it in its proper perspective. The Indiana Fever rookie was fouled Saturday night by Chicago Sky guard Kennedy Carter on an inbounds play.
Instead, they sat back and watched several as bad officiating, unchecked aggression from players pushed Caitlin over the edge. This isn't a mistake. The WNBA completely dropped the ball on their biggest marketing talent.
Kind of keep your mouth shut, and just learn from the vets. When they ask, you voice your opinion if they want your opinion, man, early on, because everybody is looking for you to say anything and they're gonna splice it and cut it and make it a negative thing. And I think for her, the one thing that I love that she's bringing to her sport, more people want to watch. More people want to tune in. I saw for the first time that they had a chartered plane for the first time in their league history. They flew private. That should be celebrated in its own right. For anyone that's, in sports that's flown commercial or flown, charter, that should be celebrated. And it's because of Caitlin Clark. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it fucked up. Caitlin Clark is the reason why a lot of great things is going to happen for the WNBA.
Now, LeBron James is warning them of what can happen without Caitlin Clark. The Indiana Fever megastar was the one drawing the fans to the arenas by their thousands. The player whose name was on everyone's lips, including basketball enthusiasts and casual fans.
Free throws.
Clark knocks down her second 3 of the ball game.
The race for Rookie of the Year is over. After what they did to the Sky, after they won their 4th straight, after they're over 500, they were just 500 the other day for the first time in 2 years when they were 2-2.
We're talking about a 400% increase in viewership, a staggering number that will have the WNBA and ESPN scrambling to put her name in front of everything they did.
The reigning 2-time champion, who probably is going to three-peat in my estimation. She is just something special. Best player in the world as far as I'm concerned, okay? We got that going on. 10.6 assists for Caitlin Clark. Leads the league. She's the league assist leader, okay? 9-3 since July 6th. 3rd best record in the WNBA over this time behind Minnesota and the New York Liberty. And I already added that they won 4 straight. And they're in the 6th seed, just 2.5 games out of the 5th seed. Caitlin Clark has been flat out balling, and she has elevated her level of play to a point. There is no debate. I understand Angel Reese has been doing a thing with the double-doubles, like 24 straight double-doubles and all this. Major props to her, and she deserves, she's going to be number 2. But Caitlin Clark going to win Rookie of the Year. Caitlin Clark is in the conversation. She ain't going to win it because A'ja Wilson there. But Caitlin Clark is in the conversation for league MVP. I don't know if y'all already know that, but she in the conversation.
But they refused to treat her like the box office attraction she was. They chose to expose her to harsh physical play, consistent disrespect, and a lack of institutional support. It is no wonder James is warning them of an impending storm coming to the WNBA if Caitlin heads to Europe, where she can play in a league that values her contribution on and off the court.
My goal was to take this team to the Final Four, and then we reach our first ever national championship game, so that's not too bad. Not too bad.
When you say they let you be you, right now, who are you in your eyes? I'm talking about your game.
Yeah.
I'm talking about your game.
Yeah, I think the coolest thing for me is I still feel like I have so much room to improve, and I think that's what's so exciting about it is, I'm only 21 years old. I hope to have a really long pro career and be a really great player and be one of the best, but this has been my dream since I was a young kid, is to be in the spotlight like this, get a scholarship to play basketball, and then hopefully play in the WNBA one day. That's always been my goal. That's what I want to do, and, that's the coolest thing for me is I grew up watching players, whether it was Maya Moore, whether it's Steph Curry. Those are the people I always loved watching their game. The way they shoot the ball, I try to mimic that and try to be half as good. So
the fact is that the WNBA is in for a painful and unforgettable absence without Caitlin Clark. She was the heartbeat of the league, the one that transformed the perception of the WNBA. And LeBron James has pointed out that losing her isn't just losing a single player, it is losing the only spark in the league.
she's always the one that's checking in and making sure you're okay and seeing how your mind is. And, she knows I have a lot on my shoulders, and she wants to be, helpful to me in any way. So I really appreciate it.
Scott, go ahead.
Galen, what stood out to you watching the film? And secondly, in general, what do you do when you review a game? How do you break down your clips? What do you like to look at?
Yeah, I think a lot stood out. I think the biggest thing is their physicality and what they did just literally took us out of our entire game. We didn't do what we had practiced for 2 weeks. Once things got a little bit hard, we got a little frantic and we didn't really quite know how to respond. And I think we really showed our youth. There was never a moment where we were physical back or we were tough back. There wasn't much mental toughness from any of us or physical toughness. And, that's what Connecticut's defense is going to do to you. They're just going to be physical. They're going to try to take you out of your actions. But I think just being physical back, I think setting up cuts, using cuts better, I think obviously taking care of the ball.
Caitlin Clark's possible departure is not just a wake-up call for the league, but for sports fans as well as media partners like ESPN, who were slow to catch on to her immense impact.
There's 360 Division I basketball teams. It is really hard to get there. It's really hard. It's going to be really hard to get back there. So I think the biggest thing that I learned for myself is to enjoy every single moment. But when you're in the locker room at that end of the game, you're crying, you're upset. But I think the thing you realize, you're not upset.
Also, Clark's decision to step away from the league is a clear indication of the deeper issues that the WNBA must address if it hopes to retain its top talent and continue to grow.
LeBron, along those lines, if and when Bronny enters the NBA at some point, if you're still in the league, how much of a goal is it for you to play alongside him on the same team?
I don't know. I haven't given much thought lately. Obviously, I thought about it in the past, but at the end of the day, the kid has to do what he wants to do, and I don't even want to say kid no more. The young man will decide what he wants to do and how he wants his career to go. So. I just think the fact that we're even having a conversation is pretty cool in the sense of that, but we'll see what happens.
Bron, respect to your answer to Mike, I'm just curious if you could give us some sense of the things that you'll weigh as you go towards the decision for year 22 or beyond, and just maybe a thought on.
But why is LeBron James warning to the WNBA a clear indication that the league has some serious issues to address? First, Caitlin Clark wasn't an average rookie. She was a crowd magnet. At the height of her time in the WNBA, she was pulling in crowds that rivaled NBA games.
Didn't have a whole lot of tight turnarounds like this in college outside of maybe the Big Ten tournament or a couple of postseason tournament games. But since your first regular season game a couple nights ago, what have been some of the biggest things you focused on either with your game or mentally, or some of the things you've kind of focused on to try to improve over the last couple days?
Yeah, I think, you go back and you watch a lot of film, whether that's, the team film that you watch, whether you watch the game back by yourself, whether, that's individual breakdown film with your coach. And then obviously we got on the court and practiced, and I mean, I think it was almost positive. Like, you don't have time to sulk. You don't have time to do whatever. You watch the film, then you put it to the side, and you take what you learned and go put it on the court and try to implement it for our next game. And I think, obviously, recovery and taking care of your body, like, this is my job now. This is what I do 24/7. I don't really have to worry about anything else. So I think those are the biggest things, is, like, you more so have to learn from the film of, the past game, and then obviously watching your next opponent more than you're on the court practicing and getting better.
Games involving Caitlin Clark attracted an average of 177,000 viewers, something that the WNBA has never seen since inception. This kind of attention was exactly what the league needed to grow.
There's all this talk about what you can and can't do in the WNBA from some pretty famous players. How have you absorbed kind of some of that criticism or talk?
Yeah, I think it's honestly like pretty similar to my college career too. I think there's, no matter what stage you're on, if you're at the highest stage, there's always going to be people that are critiquing you. There's always going to be people that are complimenting you, and I think that just speaks to like how I was raised too. Like, I've never been one to like weigh the opinions of the haters too much, or, I was told, like, at the level you feel all the praise, that's going to be the same level you feel all the hate. So, like, I feel like I just try to stay right in the middle, and everybody's entitled to their own opinions. But I think the biggest thing for myself is, like, just having confidence in who I am and what I've been able to do with my career. And by no means do I think I'm going to go in there and score 30 points a game, but I think I'm confident in my abilities, and, that's what I'm excited for.
Yeah, I feel like in college football we do this. We build people up for 4 years, and then the draft comes, and all we talk about is what they can't do, right?
However, the league refused to leverage this fanfare around Clark. Frankly, they seem to ignore it. What is more shocking is that ESPN, WNBA media that has been struggling for viewership, didn't give Caitlin the kind of coverage worthy of her talents.
First of all, let's put this in its proper perspective. When I think about Caitlin Clark, the operative word that comes to my mind is gratitude. There's an incredible level of gratitude that should be accorded to this young lady with what she did for the sport. That's not to take anything away from anybody else, but I often argue, when I've argued with folks about this, you think NBA players shouldn't be thankful to Magic Johnson? You think NBA players shouldn't be thankful to Larry Bird? You think NBA players shouldn't be thankful to Michael Jordan? Because guess what? There were great players that were in the sport before they ever arrived, who did everything they could to make the NBA what it was. But it was when those brothers arrived that it took on an extra dimension and elevated to another level. I'm just looking at some of the numbers here. When we talk about league attendance.
In addition, the media treated her success story like an afterthought instead of making it the epicenter of their sports coverage. The media delayed response to her success reflected a broader issue of how female sports were treated across the board. Second, Caitlin Clark was also dealing with bigger issues on the court. Game after game, she faced incredibly aggressive fouls, the kind that should be called out and penalized immediately. But instead of enforcing the rules, referees seemed to turn a blind eye. The physicality of the game crossed into dangerous territory, as Clark was often the target of unnecessary contact that often went unpunished.
And we see all of these things. Certainly she's going to be a great player. I think we see that. We see the capability on the basketball court. She can shoot, she can handle, she certainly can pass, okay? I look at it from that standpoint and I say mad respect. Are there other players in the WNBA that are better? Yes, at the moment, okay? But they never did for the league in terms of attention what this person did. And when you take that into consideration and you think about what the WNBA is on course to continue to do, how women's basketball, the attention, the allure, how all of a sudden that's in the mind's eye of everybody else, you clearly have this person, Caitlin Clark, to thank for it.
Without significant protection from aggressive and obvious dirty plays that can be described as assault on the court, Caitlin made the difficult decision to pursue better opportunities overseas.
So much to be proud of, so much to hold our heads high about, and yeah, it stinks, but, life goes on. Honestly, I didn't think there was anything we didn't do that we could have to really help ourselves. I mean, it would have been nice to make maybe a few more shots. I thought they contested well on stuff. I can say rebound, but we were trying our best. Like I said, you can box out a little bit better. Maybe if we come up with,
5 more rebounds, it looks a little different. I mean, in the first half, I think they had 19 points off of offensive rebounds. Like, that's a huge swing in the game, but, you know, people fought on the glass, people did their best, and, you know, that's all you can really ask.
The ramification of her decision is significant for a league that has long struggled to gain the visibility and respect it deserves. Losing a player like Caitlin Clark can only be described as a disaster of monumental proportions, and that is what LeBron James wants the WNBA to recognize and take actions against a repeat of such things happening in the future. Remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and smash the notification bell.